assistant general manager of the Washington Capitals, joining us. Roscoe, out of the gate, I got to ask you, where are you today? Because you're like, Maz said, are you actually in Regina? I said, he lives in Regina. I golf with him at the Royal Regina, but he is on the road a lot. You got to be somewhere today.
Yeah. No, I have a house and a wife in Regina, but you're right. I am on the road. I'm in Madison, Wisconsin. Going to watch Dubuque at Madison in the USHL game, and then tomorrow I'll make my way to Texas to watch the Under-18 World Championship.
How many days on the road a year are you, Ross?
About 240 nights in a hotel room every year. So,
wow.
Yeah, that's 7 or 8 trips to Europe. The rest, and obviously in North America. And I've got 15 guys around the world. They tell me who to come and see, and but it's all good. They're paying me to watch hockey games.
Yeah, the last time I saw you in the airport in February, you're on your way to Finland. It sounds so great. Let's go. So tonight, will you be like glued to watch the Caps and Habs, or will you watch it later? Like, as the assistant GM, when you're scouting so much, how in tune and how much involved are you watching tonight?
Yeah, I'll probably catch the end of it, and then or else watch it tomorrow, the replay of it on my computer. Yeah.
This team this year, when you guys sat down as a management team, back before camp or into camp, where did you guys think this team would land this year from where they ended up?
Yeah, I thought we were going to have a good team. Did I think we would end up where we did? No, to be in all honesty. We had a lot of things go right. We got some really good goaltending. Logan Thompson came in and played exceptional for us. Some of the free agents and trades we made, picking up Roy on defense, and Dubois had a tremendous year for us. Duhaime has provided a lot of energy and physicality for us, and we've had a couple of young players step up too. Protas and McMichael have really taken another step, and both ended up with about 55, 60-point seasons. So, and that's without Protas playing on the power play. So it's just a combination of all those things, to be honest with you.
Ross, Spencer Carberry, the head coach, quite a storied history with the club, not only playing in the minors, but then coaching. And then he left to go to Toronto for a pro opportunity. And you were there the whole time. Now he's back and he's done some great things with his team. When he left to go to Toronto, were you sad as an organization to see him go? I mean, you don't want to hold anybody back, but he seems like he's a pretty special guy when it comes to having the pulse on how to be a coach in today's NHL.
Yeah, he's a really bright person, really intelligent. And I think one of his best qualities is he's such a good communicator. He seems to be able to communicate with the younger players or the older players. And we knew what we were getting with Spencer. As you said, he played in South Carolina. He was a head coach in South Carolina. He was, head coach in Hershey. He actually coached McMichael and a few of the other players. So we knew exactly what we're getting, and he's done a fantastic job for us, as has the rest of the staff.
Ovechkin and what happened this year, and like last year, I'm just kind of like, he's really gonna do it, And then he breaks his leg. Like, Ross, first time you met Ovi, what was that like? When was that? I gotta know how that went down.
He was actually at the Hlinka tournament, and the first time I met him. I'd seen him play before then, but the first time I met him was at the Hlinka tournament, and he was a late birth date, so he wasn't draft eligible, but it was in between games. I was just outside, and I saw this young guy, and I thought it must be one of the drafted kids, so I took my roster and pointed to it, and he pointed to his name, and it was Alex Ovechkin, so I shook his hand, introduced myself to him, and shaking his hand too. He had huge hands. It was, and obviously a big body guy, but that was my first time when I actually met him, and seemed like a real nice young man. He didn't speak a lot of English back then, but he seemed very personable.
When you're scouting a young Alexander Ovechkin, and probably in the next year, in the draft and all that, are you guys looking at him? Because we all remember him playing in the World Juniors, right? And he was just such a target, and Phaneuf was out there. And were you guys look at him and go, well, we can make him a player, we can change him to do this, and we can work on this? Or do you see a guy like that and go, that's our guy, like that's his skill set, that's what he's going to be, let's get him and let him run?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's there were two things. I mean, one was his ability to score. He scored at every tournament I went to when he was 16, 17, 18, played 3 years in the World Junior Tournament. Did I know he'd end up scoring as many goals as he did? No. If he had 500 or 550, that would have been really good, I thought. But he definitely was going to score. And I think that's probably the hardest thing to do in the National Hockey League is score goals. And then he brought this physicality that I hadn't really seen. I've seen guys who could score. I've seen guys who can play physical, but not guys who can score with the same kind of physicality, as I said, that he had. And I think he's less than 300 hits now from leading the National Hockey League in hits in the history of the game, which, if you kind of put that in perspective, it's phenomenal what he's done as far as the goal scoring and that physical play.
So, Ross, as an assistant general manager of a hockey club, you always have to have an eye on the future. And next year and the year after and the year after, nobody knows how long Ovi's going to play. Now he's got the record, maybe one more year. Do you have to have a plan for the Capitals of life without Alexander Ovechkin and what that potentially looks like as a club?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's turned 40 years old, and he has another year left on his contract. After that, we'll see what the future holds. But, I think we've got some real good young players coming, and there'll be Ryan Leonard, who just left Boston College and probably played the last 5 or 6 games for us. I think Ryan has an ability to score goals, and hopefully he'll take up some of that slack once Alex, does retire. Whenever that would be. Protoss' younger brother ended up playing in Windsor this year. I think he was second in the OHL in scoring and has had a tremendous playoff. He's about 2.5 points a game for Windsor. So we've Andrew Crystal out in Spokane again, led the league in scoring, and another very good playoff. So those guys are there's the cupboard isn't bare. We've got some players coming, and we have to be patient with them. So in time, I think we've got some players that'll be able to replace the goal scoring, not an individual, but it'll be more by committee. That's a lot of goals to replace.
What's one thing that you can share about Ovi that we, the regular public, doesn't know?
Oh boy, he is such a good person. I think when he first came over, we had Russia, Canada, we had Sidney Crosby, we had Alex, and we kind of dislike the Russians in Canada with hockey. But once you meet him, I mean, he doesn't come in and shake your hand. He comes in and shakes your hand and gives you the big hug. I always say he's scout friendly. He's so good to the scouts. It's unbelievable. He's great to his teammates. One quick story, we won the Stanley Cup in Vegas, and you celebrate on the ice, and there's some celebrating in the dressing room, and then there's a function after at the hotel, and security's pretty tight, and I get in there and I look, and there's 3 or 4 guys, gentlemen, but homeless gentlemen who very sad, but they're at our after party and they're having a bite to eat, and it was Alex who brought them in. He saw them on the street and just really bothered him to see where they were at, the hard times that these gentlemen were having. And yeah, he brought him into the after cup party at the hotel and made sure that they had something to eat and to drink. And, there's little things like that he does that, people don't even know about. I mean, it's, he's a really good person and really cares about people, and he's a great leader. Some of these players that come into our organization, I think they fit in because our dressing room has great leadership, and we're very accepting of people, of other players and where they come from. And Alex is the one that leads that.
I know, his mom, I think, was an Olympic athlete. His dad was an athlete as well. But you look at him and through this chase, right? And it was all over social media, like Alex having a couple of pints after, and just his frame, right? He is such a big man. Just one of those. He's got that dad strength. They're just that, you don't want to run into him. I couldn't even imagine running into him full torque. Just his genetics, Ross. And then, like I said, the broken leg. like to come back as fast as he did. Like there's something different with his body and his genetics, isn't there?
Yeah, I'd say it's just a bit freaky. It really is. I mean, he's almost 6'3". He's 238 pounds. As you said, the background, Mom was a two-time Olympic gold medalist in basketball. She was like a 7 or 8-time European champion. She was the Russian women's athlete of the century. She was the captain of the team in all those years. I think Dad was a soccer player. And if you see Alex, he's not like the guy in the gym, kind of with I call them gym muscles, kind of the beach muscles. He is just this big guy with just a massive human being. It really is. It's just a big person. And the broken leg, he wanted to come back earlier. We had to keep him out. If you track his record, it's like 80 games, 79 games, 81 games. He never misses games, and I guess that's probably helped him with the goal chase, the longevity that he has had. But he's just really, like I say, a bit freaky when it comes to the athleticism.
All right. Well, being a sports show in Saskatchewan, of course, we have a soft spot for anybody from Saski and it's Western Canada as well. I love the Logan Thompson story. What made Logan Thompson attractive to you guys to sign him? Because you had a pretty good one in Braden Holtby, end up winning the cup or whatever, and now you've got Logan Thompson, and he has it seems, and he had an outstanding season. What was the why behind the signing?
Daryl Bumgartner, you may be familiar with. Daryl is in Regina. He's my Western Canada scout, and he's also kind of my goalie guru. He's responsible for the Holtbys and a lot of these other goalies that we've had. And we actually invited Logan Thompson to our development camp way back when he was a 19-year-old with Brandon. And then went on and went to university, maybe York University. Then we had him in South Carolina for a year. And we had the opportunity to bring him back into the organization this year, and we did. It's he's got good size. He's very athletic, very competitive, never gives up on pucks. And I think he really showed that this year, that athleticism and that ability, never, like I said, never to quit, never to give up on pucks, always trying to make a save.
Assistant General Manager Ross Mahoney of the Washington Capitals joining us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. I got one more because I know you got to get going and you're gracious with your time here today. You mentioned that you're scouting the USHL final or whatever tonight. This whole now, NCAA major junior, you've been scouting a long time. Like this kind of changes things. How is that changing it for your scouts and you as an assistant general manager? And what's the feeling with these American kids now with the major junior option?
Yeah, I mean, the scouting is probably fairly similar just because we were always looking at the players, at this age group. I'm curious to see how it does shake out. There's a lot of incentive, I think, for some of the kids to play, and then go to college. Some go early, like the Ryan Leonards and the Perreaults and the Will Smiths, they go as 18-year-olds or 19-year-olds. I think a lot of the universities, though, they want the kids to come in and as 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds and be able to contribute right away. So I'm actually curious to see how many of the players that are 18 and 19 are going to come and play major junior hockey and how many will stay and play in the USHL. But I think it's really going to benefit those kids, especially the late bloomers that have an opportunity to go to school. I mean, before you would play a game when you were a 15-year-old and you didn't have that ability to go to school, or, the colleges were getting kids to commit at a very young age. And so I think we've kind of taken that out of the picture right now where, you can play junior hockey, whether it's major junior or junior in the States, and then still be able to get a scholarship. So it's interesting. I think it's time will tell, I guess, how it kind of sorts itself out. Yeah,
well, awesome, Roscoe. Hey, the Royal doesn't open till next week, so you can travel, and then we can't swing the clubs until next week up here anyway. But appreciate your time. Good luck to your Caps, and we'll see you in the Larkin. We'll have a pint here soon.
Sounds good. So I just get to lose golf balls. Do I in another week? Is that what you're telling me when I come back from the under 18?
Yeah. Me as well.
Oh, no, I've golfed with you. You're much better than Ross. I think Ross just leases the golf balls, to be honest with you. Yeah, that's all I do.
Leasing the golf balls.
Yeah. Right on, Ross. Thanks. Have a good one, buddy.
Okay, take care. Thanks very much. I really enjoyed it.